You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, I've got something rather interesting I just stumbled upon that somebody shared on Twitter X on social media, and it is of Big Ten coaches talking about how they would use Caitlin Clark. And also, I've got a friendly reminder for everybody of exactly how big of a failure Stephanie White was at Vanderbilt. And there's a key portion of this situation where she got fired from Vanderbilt that I don't think can be ignored under the circumstances. Now, you may be like, yeah, but you got a winning record, blah, blah, blah. Well, number one, I would contend that maybe this team has actually underachieved a little bit. And look, when you have losses like you had the other night to the Phoenix Mercury, where it was such a big game from the standpoint of you're playing against somebody that was on the team this year. You're playing against somebody that was on the team this year and really sort of pissed on the organization as a whole and the fandom when trying to worm their way out in order to get to Phoenix. And, you know, I'm talking about DeWanna Bonner. So that in itself should have had that. Do you think an NFL coach like Jim Harbaugh doesn't use something like that? Do you think an NBA coach that's worth a grain of salt would not use something like the DeWanna Bonner situation to piss off the squad and get them ready to play? Or how about the fact that one of your stars on your team, Sophie Cunningham, played there forever, and they're going back to Phoenix? Don't you want to get galvanized, get cemented together, get fired up to try to help Sophie win? Nah. The team went out there. Sophie's the only one that showed up. As far as I can tell, the coach didn't even show up. That was a massive loss. 35-point loss in a game where this team should have absolutely been motivated. Never mind the fact that they were playing a team that is in direct line with the playoff standings. You're in the playoff run now. All right, we're headed down that street of getting Caitlin Clark back. You know, she may be back, in theory, we're hearing maybe Tuesday. That would have been a huge win, a huge statement. And I've got a real problem with the lack of fire around this team the other night, and that's on the coach. It's on the coach. And you know why they weren't fired up? Because there's no way in hell Stephanie White was going to ignore her peachy, friendly, wrap my loving arms relationship with DeWanna Bonner. She was not going to use that to fire this team up. She wasn't going to do it. And that's a problem. I think that's why you need an NBA coach. You need somebody that doesn't have the tentacles, the roots of this league growing all through them and poisoning every move they make, including front office moves, how they're using players like Caitlin Clark. Check this out. This is Big Ten coaches, and they are talking about how they would use Caitlin Clark. Now, if you're wondering, Mick Cronin from UCLA's in this, Fred Hoiberg from Nebraska. You got Greg Gard from Wisconsin, Eric Musselman. I believe Matt Painter is in here from Purdue. And they're all talking about how would they use Caitlin Clark.
What play am I drawing up? Not much, just let her cross half court. That's all you got to do.
I've just drawn up a play to get her at the top of the floor, flatten everybody else out, give her an ISO, and let her go do her thing.
Well, I think she wants some screens. You know, they're going to be throwing the kitchen sink at her defensively, so we'll get her running off 2 or 3 screens and try to get her going to the left so she can shoot that trademark 3-point step back shot.
Well, obviously, with somebody like that can pass, you don't want to take the ball out of their hands unless they're going to make a decision to set somebody up. So whatever I'd run, it would be to have the ball in her hands. Not necessarily to always shoot, but just to be that right of first refusal. So if she's giving it up, then she's giving it up for somebody who's going to get a better shot than she can take.
Screen the screener for sure.
You don't have to draw up a lot of plays for her. Actually, she makes plays for other people to get that open look. But she can take any shot as soon as she comes over half court. That would be my rule with her.
Caitlin doesn't need a play to get an open look.
I just want to inbound the ball to her, set one screen, and give her a lot of space.
Oh, you probably got to run her off a stagger or some sort of pin down screen to try and get her an open 3, which she doesn't need much space, so it shouldn't be that hard to draw up.
Interesting. I'm going to go back to the Purdue coach. All right, listen to what he says right here.
Mark 3-point step back shot.
Well, obviously, with somebody like that can pass, you don't want to take the ball out of their hands unless they're going to make a decision to set somebody up. So,
don't want to take the ball out of somebody like that's hands. We're offering her the right of first refusal. It's a big statement.
whatever I'd run, it would be to have the ball in her hands. Not necessarily to always shoot, but just to be that right of first refusal.
I would have, whatever I ran, I would have the ball in her hands, not even necessarily to shoot, but to distribute. Be the instigator of offense.
So if she's giving it up, then she's giving it up for somebody who's going to get a better shot than she can take.
And we already know that's a massive part of her game. We watched it. Again, 19 assists in a game last year. And I can't even tell you how many times she's hit 13 assists like 7, 8, 9, 10 times. It's a ridiculous. It goes 19 and then 13 a bunch of times. Unbelievable. It is. All these coaches, these Big Ten coaches, have that figured out. So let's take a flashback to the disaster that was Stephanie White at Vanderbilt. 46 and 83 in 5 years. It was a disaster. Seriously. This would be the biggest thing that would concern me. Since Stephanie White took over as head coach, at least 9 starters has transferred out of the program. They got in her philosophy, in her offense, dealing with her, and said, we're getting the hell out of here. That would worry me. Rebecca Dahlman, Vanderbilt's leading scorer, transferred 2015. Kayla Overbeck, Aaron Wallen, both of whom were SEC all-freshman honorees. Blessing Ojefer, transferred in 2016. Chelsea Hall, who notched 1,000 career points, Autumn Newby, transferred to Louisville and LSU respectively. While Coley Love, the team's leading scorer before the season was canceled, is still in the transfer portal. So 2 of the leading scorers, Dahlman and Love, got out of the program. That's concerning. That is concerning. That tells you, that makes you wonder, does she have a philosophy that allows for a Michael Jordan? I mean, honestly, or is her coaching philosophy is, you got a bunch of Horace Grants? The fuck? I mean, no. I mean, I'm sorry. You got Horace Grant and a bunch of Steve Kerrs and John Paxtons. At most, maybe you get allowed to have one Scottie Pippen. Look, Scottie was great, but he wasn't no Michael Jordan. He wasn't no Bird. He wasn't no Magic. It's very concerning. It really is. I that watching the coach's video sent off that light bulb in my head that said, I think her time at Vanderbilt was not good. Let me research that a little bit more. Son of a bitch. It was a disaster. A disaster. Not only did she lose, she was responsible for the team's best talent getting the hell out of Dodge. That should be a proactive red flag flare going up. And I still believe the Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark should be. A Midwest team like Indiana, Indianapolis, that city, that's where she should be. But that doesn't mean the people in the front office and the coach are right. That doesn't. Tell me what you think. I feel bad for being as hard as I was on Christy's sides because we forget she started off 1-9. They had that brutal start to the season last year. And then she went 19-11. I was surprised they let her go, though. It came out of nowhere. I was like, they did what? It was surprising, even though I think she had deficiencies. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time. This is the time to voice your displeasure. I just hot off the press. Use promo code CC22. I will have a link for this shirt in the comment section pinned. Save Caitlin, fire Kathy.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.